This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's Jeff Carter. I welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, August the 4th, is this man who is 59 years old. ROger CLemens, one of the best pitchers in Boston history. Ironically, a couple days ago, I did a Boston pitcher who actually had beaten Clemens for some Boston records. But anyhow, that was then, this is now. So he played for 4 teams in his career: Boston, Toronto, the Yankees, and the Astros. 354 wins and 30 most strikeouts all time, 4,672 strikeouts. That's pretty impressive. He's won 2 World Series titles, 11-time All-Star, and 7 Cy Youngs, the most history. Basically, he was fiercely competitive and had a hard-throwing style. He would pitch for the Red Sox for 12 years, and in '86 he would be the Cy Young winner and the AL MVP award, and also struck out 20 guys in the game, which was the record. After he did against another 20 strikeout performance in '96, this time against the Tigers, he went to Toronto for a couple of years. In both his years, he won the Cy Young and the pitching triple crown of leading the league in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. And then Clemens was traded in '99 to the Yankees, when he won his 2 World Series titles. Kind of pissing me off in a sense about the fact that we had this great pitcher and all that, and then we decided to jettison him. Clemens got his 300th win and 4,000 strikeout in the same game, which was weird. Back in 2003, Clemens would leave for his home state of Texas to pitch for Houston for 3 years and win a Cy Young. He would join the Yankees for one last season in 2007 and would retire. Unfortunately, he's in trouble for using anabolic steroids and being part of the Mitchell report. That's kind of why he's not in the Hall of Fame now. Clemens was actually found not guilty of lying to Congress in 2012. Lucky for him. So anyway, he had a great career. He was a legend for the University of Texas, winning the College World Series, and the first Texas Longhorn baseball player to have his uniform number retired. In fact, the ROger CLemens Award is still in NCAA baseball for the best pitcher. Clemens was picked 19th overall in 1983 by the Bo Sox and rose through the minor league system, making his debut in 1984. He actually had an undiagnosed torn labrum that almost ruined his career before it started, but thanks to Dr. James Andrews and the Tommy John surgery, he was fine. So ROger CLemens was picked 19th. Tim Belcher, remember him? Well, he was the number 1 pick in the '83 draft. Kurt Stillwell was number 2. Ugh. Jeff Kunkel, number 3. I look at the '83 thing. They all were terrible. Well, Brian Holman wasn't that bad, but Holman, was picked by Montreal, but he was sent to Seattle, with Randy Johnson to get. So anyway, Montreal actually got the compensation pick because the Giants signed Joe Youngblood. So Holman went from Montreal to Seattle in the Randy Johnson trade. With Randy Johnson for the one of Mark Langston. Clemens pitched. I think Clemens' Texas teammate, Calvin Girardi, was picked by the Mets. It was actually a compensation pick for P. Falcone being picked. I wonder why the Blue Jays didn't get picked. Oh, the Blue Jays took Matt Stark. Game of Thrones reference, I guess. Anyway, despite that, in 1986, Clemens won the AL MVP. 24-4, 2.48 ERA, 238 strikeouts. Hard to imagine why he wasn't the MVP. Clemens was actually the MVP of the All-Star game, pitching 3 perfect innings. He won the Cy Young Award. Clemens did insult Hank Aaron when Hank Aaron said pitchers should not be eligible for the MVP assist. I would probably crack his head open, or a beanball, to show him how valuable I was. Clemens was the first pitcher to be an MVP since Vida Blue in 1971, until Justin Verlander did in 2011. Clemens with 20 Seattle Mariners in a 9-inning game at Fenway Park, which was amazing. More than 2 strikeouts. I believe he struck out everybody once. I think. I can't remember if he didn't. I keep thinking that there was a Seattle Mariner who didn't strike out against Clemens that day. I think I did a ROger CLemens 20 strikeout thing. Yeah, the only guy who didn't strike out, who had a plate appearance, was Al Cowens, but he was a pinch hitter. So, okay. So, anyway, a 20 strikeout day for CLemens. Good for him. So, only Kerry Wood and Max Scherzer have matched the total 20 strikeouts in a night. 20 batters struck out in a 9-inning game. Randy Johnson did that too, but because the game went to extra innings, it doesn't count as a 9-inning game. CLemens pitched a good game 7. CLemens pitched a good game 7 in the ALCS against the California Angels to sink the Angels and get the Red Sox to the ALCS, to the World Series after coming back from a 3-1 deficit because of Dave Henderson's home run and heroics. The funny thing about that LCS clincher was that it was CLemens' first postseason victory. He didn't actually have another postseason victory for 13 years. So it didn't take till 1999 to get a second postseason win. That's amazing. After a victory in Game 5, Boston was up 3-2. CLemens was starting Game 6, and it looked like Boston had the World Series in hands. He pitched on 5 days rest, and he did fantastic. However, Boston manager John McNamara made a giant mistake. Not his first mistake of that. Well, the first mistake, but not the last mistake of that Game 6 against the Mets in '86. He sent up a pinch hitter for ROger CLemens in the presence of Mike Greenwell. They said that CLemens was removed because of a blister problem, but CLemens said it was basically not explosive. All that would have done was hindered his split ball. All that. McNamara basically said that CLemens bagged out of the game, but that's total bullshit. Of course, Greenwell did not do so well pinch hitting for CLemens, especially with the fact that Don Baylor was still in the game, was on the bench, and Don Baylor is an icon. So anyway, long story short, the Red Sox lose Game 6 and 7, and lose the World Series, and John McNamara basically got lucky for a few years. CLemens would pitch in the postseason in '88 and '90 with the Red Sox after they won the AL East both times over my Blue Jays, pissing me off, of course. But would get swept by the Oakland A's in each ALCS matchup. The worst part was in the Game 4 of the 1990 ALCS. He got ejected for arguing balls and strikes with Terry Cooney. And all that. CLemens was alleged to have bumped the umpire, which meant he had to be suspended for 5 games in the '91 season. CLemens still pitched fantastic and all that. CLemens was robbed of the 1990 AL Cy Young, but as some people said, he beat the winner, Bob Welch, in Era A strikeouts and WAR, aka wins above replacement. But because Welch won 27 games, they put the emphasis on wins above all else. CLemens did get his third Cy Young in 1991, despite having a 5-game suspension at the start of the year. CLemens would also be known for giving up the first home run of one Sammy Sosa. CLemens got 2 20 strikeouts games. The second one was at legendary Tiger Stadium against the Tigers in his third to last game as a member of the Red Sox. The Tigers presented him with baseball containing the autographs of each batter who had struck out. I believe he struck out everybody on the Tigers, did he not? Oh yes, he did. Even a pinch hitter, he struck out everybody at least once. So great. The Red Sox did not want to re-sign CLemens during the '96 season, despite CLemens leading the AL with 257 strikeouts. Basically, they offered him a big contract, but CLemens decided to sign with the Blue Jays for a better deal. Duquette was vilified for letting CLemens leave for Toronto. CLemens would be 162 and 73 away from the Red Sox. He did record on 92 wins for the Red Sox, which was tied for the franchise record with Cy Young, and it's their all-time strikeout leader, 2,590, and all that. Clemens' number 21 has not been retired by Boston, even though that nobody has worn his 21 since Clemens left. So he would sign a 4-year, $40 million deal with the Jays, which was weird because the Jays had the reigning AL Cy Young, Pat Hankin, and yes, it was kind of controversial because Pettit deserved it more. But anyway, when he went back to Fenway Park as a member of the Blue Jays, he had a memorable start. He pitched 8 innings, only giving up 4 hits and 1 run, 16 strikeouts, which was amazing. And every batter who faced him struck out once. He basically left the field. When he was pulled from the game, he looked up at Dan Duquette and basically snarled at him. That was perfect. Clemens was dominant with the Blue Jays, winning the Cy Young and the pitching triple crown, as I said, both seasons. He won 21 games in 97, 205 ERA, 292 strikeouts. 98, 20 wins, 265 ERA, and a 271 strikeouts. Clemens actually asked to be traded. He didn't believe the Blue Jays would be competitive enough the following year and was dedicated to winning a championship. Asshole. So basically, the Jays, Gabriel was what? She traded him to the Yankees for David Wells, Homer Bush, and Graham Lloyd. Lloyd would not do much in a Blue Jays outfit. Homer Bush, nah, not really. But David Wells was good, decent. But David Wells, when he wanted to play baseball, was great. Clemens would have to wear number 22 for the Yankees because Paul O'Neill wore 21. Clemens would be an impact on the Yankee staff, winning a pair of World Series titles. And all that. The funny thing is that in the 99 playoffs, the Yankees only lost 1 game that postseason, going 11-1, and that was when he went back to Fenway Park to face Pedro Martinez in the ALCS Game 3, and Pedro won. But Clemens did fantastic. He ruined the Mariners in Game 4 of the 2000 ALCS by getting 15 strikeouts and only giving up 1 hit, which was a double by Al Martin in the 7th. Clemens seemed good. He was 20-1 to start the year. Well, he finished 20-3, not bad, and he won in 6 Cy Young. He's the last Yankee to win the Cy Young. Surprise, surprise. Clemens would pitch Game 7 of the World Series against the Diamondbacks. In a pitcher's duel with Curt Schilling, it was big. It was 1-1. And then the Yankees got a home run with Alfonso Soriano in the 8th to make it 2-1. And then the Diamondbacks came back with 2 in the 9th to win the game 3-2. Clemens decided to retire after the 2003 season. He got his 300th win and 4,000 career strikeout, both things in a start against the Cardinals at Yankee Stadium. He was amazing. Red Sox fans would give him a standing ovation at Fenway Park in his final start at Fenway Park at that time in 2003. And Clemens did pitch against the Red Sox in the 03 ALCS at Fenway Park, but that would be overshadowed by the brawl in which Pedro Martinez actually threw Don Zimmer down on the ground. Why Pedro was not suspended, I don't know why. Don Zimmer blubbered, saying that it was his fault for going after Pedro. But Pedro threw him down. Like, fuck. He was the asshole. So anyway, Clemens actually did start 1 game in the World Series against the Marlins, and he was losing. Clemens then decided to change his mind January of 2004 and would sign with the Houston Astros, his adopted hometown, joining Andy Pettit on that team. Clemens would end up being second on the career strikeout list in 2004 at that time. Randy Johnson was second. But anyway, he was named a starter for the All-Star team. I mean, the All-Star game was in Houston, but he would be the loser thanks to Alfonso Soriano hitting a home run off of him. Clemens was 18-4, pretty good. Won a 7 Cy Young at age 42, and became one of 6 pitchers to win the award in both leagues, both Cy Youngs. Gaylord Perry, Perry with the Indians and the Padres, Pedro for the Red Sox and the Expos, Randy Johnson for the Mariners and the Diamondbacks, and later joined by Roy Halladay, Blue Jays and Phillies, and Max Scherzer, Tigers and Nationals. Clemens, unfortunately, was the loser in the final game of the 2004 NLCS against the Cardinals. Clemens wanted to retire, but Astros offered salary arbitration. Both sides would agree on a 1-year, $18 million contract avoiding arbitration. Clemens did well. 1.87 ERA, the lowest in the major leagues. And the lowest since Greg Max in 95. That's amazing. He was 13-8. The problem was that run support would screw him up. Houston would not score a lot of runs in his starts. Clemens actually came in to relief in that famous Astros-Braves Game 4 LDS in 2005 that went 18 innings. He was a pitcher in the 15th. Then he would pitch the remainder of the game. And then the Astros won in the 18th inning and Chris Burke's home run. Clemens would not do so well in Game 1 of the 2005 World Series. Clemens decided he might retire again after the World Series, but he wanted to play for the U.S. in the inaugural World Baseball Classic. He did okay in a sense. He retired, but Clemens itched for the major leagues, and in May of 2006, he decided to pitch for the Astros for the remainder of the 2006 season, signing a $22 million contract. Well, he got a prorated percentage, $12.25 million, because he didn't pitch the full season. Clemens did okay at 7-6, and then he finally decided to retire. But in May of 2007, during the 7th-inning stretch of the game against the Mariners, he made a statement. I'll be talking to y'all soon. It was simultaneously announced that Clemens would be back with the Yankees, getting a prorated $1 million one-year deal. That's kind of creepy and all that. Clemens would pitch Game 3 of the ALDS, but he had to leave because of a hamstring injury. Due to the injury, Clemens could not pitch in the 2007 postseason. Cleveland did take care of the Yankees in the ALDS that year. So basically, he stopped. He actually signed with the Atlantic League's Sugarland Skeeters. That's actually, I believe that's the team that Tracy McGrady decided to pitch for. He struck out a pair of former major leaguers, Prentice Redmond and Joey Gaffrey. He did okay in a sense. The Astros actually sent scouts to the games in case he wanted to pitch for the Astros. And he's like 50 years old. ROger CLemens would help try to get the Kansas Stars to pitch in the National Baseball Congress World Series. So he was 24 retired major leaguers, and his son Kobe would play for that. It featured 11 All-Stars. Including Adam LaRoche, Nate Robertson, Tim Hudson, Roy Oswalt, and J.D. Drew. Well, that's a pretty good thing. He was an aggressive pitcher and all of that. He had several controversies, including the 2000 World Series when he threw a piece of Mike Piazza's shattered bat at Mike Piazza on a foul ball, which was kind of stupid and all that. So, anyway, Clemens would be known as a diva for his retiring and then coming back and all that. And of course, the steroid use accusations. The worst part about this one was the guy who kind of introduced him to human growth hormone was a former trainer, Brian McNamee, who actually was a trainer for the Blue Jays at that time. I will be honest with you. After all that steroid stuff, I had a prized Blue Jays shirt of ROger CLemens. Blue Jays t-shirt of ROger CLemens for many years. I got rid of it. I sent it to Goodwill after that. I'm like, I can't have ROger CLemens and the Blue Jays in the same sentence. ROger CLemens actually appeared in The Simpsons. The famous season 3 episode, The Homer at the Bat? Yes, he was the pitcher for that team. Alongside first baseman Don Mattingly, second base Steve Sachs, third base Ray Boggs, shortstop Ozzie Smith, and the outfield of Ken Griffey Jr., Jose Canseco, and Darryl Strawberry. Of course, he couldn't pitch in that game because he thought he was a chicken. I think he did pitch in that game or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, lots of things. 7 Cy Youngs. That's amazing. All that. A lot of people figured that he might be in the Hall of Fame, but because of the whole steroid issue, didn't do it. He actually has come close. In 2021, he got to 61% of the votes, but you have to have 75%. Clemens has only one more chance to get into the Hall of Fame with the Baseball Writers Association. That's the main guys who bring him to the Hall of Fame. The 10-year limit. Clemens is the only member of the 300 win club not to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And Clemens would marry Deborah Lynn Godfrey. 1984 to have 4 sons. Colby, Corey, Casey, and Cody, all given Ks. Colby was actually a minor league prospect for some clubs. Casey would play for Texas and was actually drafted by the Blue Jays in the 2017 baseball draft. And Cody would be drafted by the Tigers in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft. Clemens is a Republican and all that. So, yeah, Clemens was a very decent pitcher when he was actually worth talking about. But sometimes he was just surly and all that. I know he won a couple of Cy Youngs with the Blue Jays, but it could have gotten into the playoffs. I would have been much more happier. But that them's the breaks. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do